She kicked me out at 16, then demanded I pay for her new kid's college. You won't believe what my own mother did after I refused to pay for my siblings' college. She showed up at my job, collapsed in the lobby, and ended up in handcuffs. And yeah, it gets worse. I'm a guy in my early 30s now, let's say 32, and things aren't too bad these days. I've got a decent career that I really worked hard for, a place in a quiet suburb outside Denver, and all the stuff people usually associate with making it. But funny thing, your past never really stays buried. It has this way of popping back up, usually dragging some mix of guilt, bitterness, and old dust behind it. Growing up, it was just me and my mom. My dad? Never in the picture. From what I've heard, he walked out before I was even born. And for a while, Mom was everything. She held down 2 jobs, came home dead tired most nights, but she still showed up for me. We weren't well off, not even close, but it felt steady. I remember her reading to me on the couch, helping me with spelling quizzes, and the smell of that cheap lilac perfume she always wore when she kissed me goodnight. Funny how those early memories stick, the good ones especially. Later on, you start wondering if you just made them up to cope. Things started to shift when I was around 10. That's when she met the man who would become my stepdad. Let's call him Rick. No need to protect him. He earned every word. Rick seemed all right at first. Quiet, kind of distant with me, which was fine. I wasn't looking for a new dad or anything. Mom looked happier, though. Like something inside her had relaxed. She laughed more, smiled more. For a minute, I thought maybe this could be a good thing. Then, a year later, she gave birth to twins, Liam and Chloe, and suddenly, the atmosphere in our apartment in Aurora flipped overnight. Everything shifted, and not in a small, creeping way either. Before that, I was her whole world. After, I was background noise. Every ounce of her attention, her energy, and what little money we had went straight to Rick and the twins. I became an afterthought, then just flat-out extra. It wasn't like some big dramatic event set it off. It was slow, gradual, like a dimmer switch turning the light down on me. My birthday started getting skipped or replaced with vague apologies. School stuff? Always some excuse. Rick's got something going on. Or, the twins are just so exhausting. Then came the little jabs, keep it down. Noah, the babies are sleeping. My name only came up when I was a problem. Rick didn't say much, but his silence said plenty. He never told me I didn't belong, but he never made me feel like I did either. The way he looked at me, it was like I was some stray dog that wandered in and never left. That was my life for the next few years. I got used to taking care of myself, being quiet, not asking for anything. I'd eat dinner alone most nights, get my homework done without help, and try to navigate high school as best I could on my own. Mom was too worn out, too wrapped up in her new family to notice much of anything else. On the rare occasions I tried to get through to her, it was like knocking on a locked door. She'd either zone out or redirect the talk to the twins and whatever adorable thing they did that week. It was like trying to have a heart-to-heart with someone waiting for their phone to ring. When I was 16, just 16, still technically a minor, everything came to a head. I came home from my shift at the corner store. I still remember it was a Thursday. Rick and Mom were sitting at the dining table, both with that serious, hushed tone people use when they're about to let you down gently. "We need to talk," Mom said. That line never leads anywhere good. She started rambling about how tight things had gotten. Rick had lost a few hours at the auto shop. The twins needed more. Everything was stretched. She wouldn't even meet my eyes. Rick just kept staring at the table like it had the winning lottery numbers on it. I stood there with my hoodie half off and my book bag sliding down my arm, already feeling the ground shift. Then she dropped it, told me that my grandparents, her parents in Fort Collins, had a spare room, and that I was practically an adult now. I was responsible, she said. "You're kicking me out," I said. It wasn't a question. Rick finally looked up. "It's not like that, man," he said, voice flat like he was reading a script. "It's just the logical thing to do. We can't really support you the way you deserve." What he meant was, they needed more room. More room for their new family. I turned to Mom. Nothing in her face. No guilt, no sadness. Just a kind of cold resolve. Like she'd already let go of me a long time ago and was just now finishing the paperwork. "What about school?" I asked. "My friends? My job?" "They're not that far," she said. "You can manage." Manage? That was their excuse. I was resourceful, so I'd figure it out. I argued. Of course I did. I raised my voice, maybe even begged a little, though I hate admitting it. I asked her if I still meant anything to her. The whole thing was a blur of pain and disbelief, and this cold, suffocating feeling of being discarded. Rick just sat there, letting her take the heat. The only thing he added was, "It's best for everyone. Everyone but me." And the worst part? They didn't even seem conflicted. They looked relieved. A week later, I was living in my grandparents' house. They were kind, quiet people, old-school types. They didn't ask questions, didn't complain. They took me in without making me feel like a burden. But I could see it in their eyes, disappointment. Not in me. In their daughter. They never really talked about it. But every now and then, I'd catch my grandma letting out this heavy sigh and shaking her head when she thought I wasn't paying attention. I stayed at my part-time job, switched schools for senior year, and man, that year sucked. New hallways, no friends, and living in a house that felt more like a museum than a home. Cold. Still. Stuck in the past. But I wasn't about to let them win. No way was I giving them the satisfaction of watching me crash. I pushed myself hard, got my grades up, stayed focused, and somehow managed to claw my way into a public university here in Colorado. That's when I made the dumb move of thinking my mom might actually care. I needed help, just a little. Some money for tuition, books, maybe groceries. So I called her. Yeah, huge mistake. She answered with that fake sweet voice she always pulled out when she was about to let me down. Oh, sweetheart, she said. We'd love to help, really, but you know how it is with the twins. Mason needs braces, Lila's got her dance competitions, and Rick's truck just broke down. She sounded so casual about it. There's just nothing extra right now. I remember squeezing the phone so hard my hand hurt. My knuckles turned white. Mom, I said, trying to stay calm, I got into college. This matters. We're so proud of you, she chirped, like that made up for anything. But you're resourceful. You'll figure it out. Maybe another loan. There it was again, resourceful. Their favorite word. Their free pass to keep acting like I didn't exist when it mattered. I hung up. I didn't cry. I'd already run out of tears for her years ago. Then I called my aunt, Diane, Mom's younger sister. She always had both feet on the ground, even when the rest of the family was off in their own mess. She picked up, listened the whole way through, sighed once, then said, "All right, honey, let me see what I can do." And she did. She co-signed a loan for me, sent cash when she could, even if it wasn't much. Diane believed in me in a way my own mother never had. College was brutal. I was juggling 2 jobs, studying till sunrise, running on caffeine and fumes. But every time I thought about giving up, I'd remember that phone call, Mom brushing me off like I was asking for a favor, not a lifeline, and it lit a fire in me. Nothing fuels you quite like being dismissed by the people who were supposed to have your back. I made it, graduated, landed a decent job, then a better one, worked my way up the ladder, paid back every cent of those loans, including the one Diane helped me get. Every year on my graduation anniversary, I sent her flowers. She earned that. I built a life, a real one, on my own terms. And none of it was thanks to Mom or Rick. Fast forward maybe 15 years. I hadn't seen them in forever. Maybe a Christmas card now and then, or a birthday call if she remembered, and those calls always felt like interviews, like she was checking boxes on some mental survey. I kept it short, polite, but cold. I think Aunt Diane gave her updates now and then, probably hoping it'd stir something in her. Some pride. But she had no idea how little I cared if it ever did. Then, about 3 months ago, it was a Saturday afternoon. I wasn't expecting anyone, but the doorbell rang. I checked the peephole and felt my stomach sink like a rock. There they were, Mom and Rick, standing on my porch like ghosts from a life I'd already buried. I almost didn't answer, but I did. Had to. "Well, look at you," Mom said, grinning like we were old friends reunited after a summer apart. "This place is beautiful." She tried to come in for a hug. I stepped to the side. Reflex. "What do you want?" I asked. No smiles. No fake warmth. Just straight to the point. Rick shifted his weight awkwardly. "Can we come in, son? It's been a long time." I let them into the hallway but didn't offer a seat. Didn't feel like making them comfortable. Mom looked around too eagerly, clearly impressed. Rick looked like he always did, nervous any time he wasn't in control of the situation. After a few weak attempts at small talk that I shot down fast, Mom finally got to it. "We heard you're doing really well," she said, giving me that voice, the one she used to sound supportive without meaning a word of it. "We're proud of you." "Get to the point," I said flatly. She glanced at Rick, then dove in. "It's the twins," she said, her tone dipping into that pleading rhythm I knew far too well. "They're both starting college this fall. And, well, you know how expensive that is these days." I didn't say a word, just stared at her. Rick took his cue. "Seeing how comfortable you are now, we were wondering if maybe you'd be able to help. Just a little. Help with tuition. You know," he added, "family looks out for each other." Family? I could have laughed right then and there. He really said it, Family helps family. I felt the sharp, bitter laugh rising in my chest. The kind that burns on its way out. Are you serious right now? I asked, my voice sharp. Of course we are, Mom replied, way too cheerfully. They're your brother and sister, after all. And that's when I lost it. My brother and sister? I said, my voice getting louder. You mean the reason I got thrown out of my own home at 16? The same you prioritized while tossing your actual son out like he was some unwanted stray? Those siblings. Mom recoiled a little. That's not fair, she said quietly. We were going through a tough time. We had to make some hard choices. I nearly shouted. I was a kid, Mom. You didn't make choices. You abandoned me. You told me to go live with Grandma and Grandpa because I didn't fit into your shiny new family. We didn't abandon you. Rick jumped in, raising his voice a notch. It was a mutual decision. For your benefit. I barked out a laugh. Mutual? You think I wanted to be cast aside? That I agreed to spend the rest of high school and college busting my ass for scraps while you gave everything to them? We always loved you, Mom whispered, eyes brimming with tears. Fake tears. I'd seen them before. Love. I repeated, practically spitting the word. You call that love? When I asked, no, begged, for a little help with tuition, what did you say? The twins need this. The twins need that. You're resourceful. That was your go-to line, remember? Do you even remember that conversation? She broke down then, tears falling, but I wasn't moved. We made mistakes, she said between sobs. I started pacing, unable to stand still. No, don't sugarcoat it. This wasn't some minor screw-up. You chose them over me again and again. And now that I've built a life without your help, despite you, you've got the gall to come begging? For them. They're good kids, Rick muttered, eyes fixed on the floor. They deserve a shot. And I didn't? I turned on him, fire in my chest. Where was my shot? Rick? Who gave me one? Not you. Not her. It was Aunt Diane who stood by me. My grandparents who gave me shelter when you both washed your hands of me. You didn't just ignore me. You actively made my life harder. The shouting match went in circles, them trying to guilt me throwing every ounce of hypocrisy back at them. Mom wept harder, accusing me of being heartless. Rick tried to play the calm mediator before slipping into frustration, claiming I was ungrateful for the years they did raise me. Ungrateful? That nearly broke me. Get out, I said, ice in my voice. Get the hell out of my house. But the money, Mom pleaded. Just a little bit. Not a cent, I said, calm but lethal. You made your decisions. You live with them. Then I stared Rick down as he puffed up, trying to look tough. Try me, I said coldly. Please. They left. Mom was still crying, tossing me these wounded looks like I had done something wrong. Rick just looked bitter and beat down. I stood there shaking afterward, not from fear, but from pure adrenaline. It had all come rushing out. Years of silence, resentment, pretending I was fine. It was messy, raw, and a long time coming. And God, it felt justified. A few days passed. No word from them. I thought maybe, they got the message. Stupid, huh? Then the call started. Mom, mostly. First sobbing, then pleading, then snapping, then back to begging, accusing me of being a horrible son, of abandoning them. The irony was thick enough to spread on a sandwich. I stopped picking up. She started leaving long, rambling voicemails. I blocked the numbers. Thought I was done. But then, about 2 weeks ago, it escalated. I was at work, mid-meeting with my boss and a couple clients, when my receptionist buzzed in, her voice flustered. There's a woman here, she said. She says she's your mother. She's crying and insisting she needs to talk to you. Right now. My stomach dropped. I excused myself, hard hammering, and went out to the lobby. And there she was. Mom. She looked a mess, hair unbrushed, face blotchy, eyes red like she hadn't slept. The second she spotted me, she started yelling across the room. You can't ignore me. You have to help us. Your brother and sister need you. Right there. In front of my coworkers, reception, everyone. Humiliating. I walked up and grabbed her arm, probably more forcefully than I meant to, and guided her into an empty conference room. What the hell do you think you're doing? I hissed. I need to talk to you, she cried, voice trembling. You blocked our numbers. You won't even answer your phone, she cried. This is my workplace, I snapped. You can't just show up here yelling like a lunatic. What the hell were you thinking? It was chaos. A full-blown spectacle. Security ended up escorting her out, but not before she made a big show of being the poor, heartbroken mother and painting me as some cold, rich monster of a son who had abandoned her. Everyone saw it. My coworkers, the reception staff, even clients in the waiting area. My boss put on a good face. Said he understood. But let's be real. Something like that leaves a mark. I thought maybe that humiliation would be enough to stop her. Nope. That weekend, she came to my house. She was outside, pounding on the door, screaming my name like we were in the middle of a soap opera. My neighbors were peeking through their blinds, watching like it was a live drama. I called the police. They showed up, talked her down, told her to leave the property. She did, but not before shouting over her shoulder that I'd regret this, that I was dead to her. All I could think was, good. Finally, the very next day, Rick's car appeared down the block from my place. Just parked there for hours. Didn't move, didn't honk, just sat, trying to rattle me. I guess. That was it for me. That was the moment I knew they weren't going to stop. I called a lawyer. Now I have a restraining order against both of them, for harassment. Yeah, I had to take legal action against my own mother. Surreal doesn't even begin to cover it. But what else was I supposed to do? They wouldn't let up. They were sabotaging my career, invading my home, wrecking what peace I'd built for myself. And all because I wouldn't hand over money for the golden children they always favored. So here I am now. I've got a lawyer. I've got the paperwork. And I've got this constant knot in my gut that just won't quit. I know I did the right thing, drawing a line and finally defending it. But still, part of me keeps asking, did I go too far? Was cutting them off entirely after years of being treated like nothing too harsh? Rationally, I know the answer. I know. But that little voice of doubt is hard to ignore. Update 1. Wow. First off, thank you. I didn't expect that kind of response. I figured I was just shouting into the void with that wall of text, but hearing from so many of you actually helped more than I thought it would. Most of you confirmed what I already felt deep down, but it's different when people outside your personal rage bubble say it. A lot of not the asshole comments, and some of y'all had some. Let's just say colorful words about my mom and Rick. Honestly, I needed that validation. Some folks had questions, so let me clear a few things up. A lot of you asked why my grandparents didn't confront my mom more directly. The truth is, they were traditional people. Quiet, non-confrontational. They gave me food, shelter, stability, but they weren't the type to raise hell with their daughter. Their way of showing disappointment was through long silences and tired head shakes. I remember one time Grandma told me, she made her bed. Doesn't mean we have to like the sheets. They helped by being calm in the storm, not by fighting my battles. They both passed away a few years after I graduated college. Peacefully, in their sleep. I still miss them. They were the quiet kind of good. As for my Aunt Diane, she's a damn saint. She didn't have much money back then, but she stretched every dollar to help me out. Co-signed that loan when no one else would. Gave me a lifeline. Her relationship with Mom was always shaky, and this whole disaster didn't exactly help. Apparently, after the blow-up at my house, Mom called Diane trying to get her on board. Wanted her to talk some sense into me. Diane's response, "You reap what you sow, sis. He doesn't owe you a damn thing." Yeah, that's my aunt. We're grabbing dinner next week. As for Rick, what's his deal? Classic enabler. Entitled, passive-aggressive, and spineless. Back when I was living under their roof, he was laser-focused on his new family. I was an extra problem he didn't want to deal with. Never hit me or anything, but his cold shoulder was loud and clear. Now, he's just tagging along behind Mom's delusions, pretending they deserve something from me. That little stunt where he parked on my street? Pathetic. He's a coward. Always has been. A few of you asked about the twins, Mason and Lila. Truth? I barely know them. They were tiny when I was forced out. I haven't spoken to them since. No clue if they're sweet, entitled, or somewhere in between. Doesn't matter. They're not part of my life, and I'm fine keeping it that way. Mason and Lila? They're their parents' responsibility, not mine. If they're halfway decent human beings, they'll get why I want absolutely nothing to do with Mom or Rick. And if they end up anything like them, then I don't need them in my life either. Harsh? Maybe, but that's where I'm at. Reading all the responses and seeing how many others have gone through similar hell, it hit me. There are so many of us out there dealing with broken families and toxic dynamics. And no, it didn't make me rethink my actions. In fact, it only solidified them. Some of you use terms like financial abuse, emotional neglect, and parental alienation. And yeah, those labels fit like a glove. Seeing it named so clearly helped silence that one pathetic voice in my head that still whispers, maybe you're being too harsh. No, I'm not. I was treated like a piece of luggage they left at the station. The restraining order? It wasn't an easy thing to do emotionally. I mean, this is my own mother we're talking about. But logically, it was the only step left. They wouldn't stop. I had to draw the line somewhere. I had to defend my peace. There wasn't some big moral dilemma about whether I should help them out. That door? It's not just closed. It's welded shut and buried under 1,000 pounds of reinforced steel. The only question left was, how do I make it absolutely clear that I'm done? So, yeah. After the restraining order was officially served, by a process server, no less, I'm sure that was a lovely surprise for them. I took a few more steps, following both legal advice and suggestions from you guys. Step 1. I looped in my workplace. Sat down with HR and my boss, showed them the order, explained everything in a calm, professional way. Thankfully, they were surprisingly supportive. HR flagged my name with building security. Now if either Mom or Rick shows up, the police get called immediately. Embarrassing to have to go there, but necessary. Step 2. Home security. Upgraded everything. Better sensors. More cameras. Extra lighting. After Rick's creepy parking stunt, I wasn't taking chances. Step 3. Documentation. My lawyer told me to keep a written log. So now I've got this little black notebook. Feels like I'm running some CIA op, but I record everything. Random cars. Suspicious calls. Any weird interaction. If they ever violate the order again, I want proof. Step 4. Social media lockdown. I barely use it, but I still went through every platform and blocked Mom, Rick, and any mutuals who might act as their flying monkeys. Closing off every possible avenue. Since the order was served, about a week and a half ago, it's been quiet. No calls. No surprise visits. No sightings of Rick in his crappy old sedan. It's like the storm passed. But I'm not celebrating. I know better. This silence feels fragile. Like that moment after a glass shatters and everything freezes. People like them, entitled, delusional, emotionally manipulative, they don't just give up. Or maybe the legal reality finally hit them hard enough to back off. I'm not sure. Aunt Diane said Mom called her again after she got served. She went through the full cycle, hysterical sobbing, fury, then turning into the poor wounded victim. Diane told her, straight up, you're destroying yourself. He's just protecting himself from you. God, I love that woman. Mom apparently started wailing about how no one understands and how Mason and Lila's futures are ruined because they won't be able to afford their dream schools. Diane just hung up on her. So, for now, there's peace. Or at least the absence of open warfare. I'm still cautious. Still watching my back. But it's better than before. Thanks again to everyone who stuck through this whole ride. Reading your comments and stories made me feel a lot less alone. I'll post again if anything major happens. Either they keep respecting the order, or more likely, someone screws up and lands themselves in more legal trouble. For now, I'm just trying to rebuild some normal. Update 2. Okay, it's been a few months since my last update, 3, to be exact, since the restraining order got served. And a bunch of you asked for a follow-up. So here it is. And yeah, this one had a twist. For the first 6 weeks? Nothing. Total radio silence. Not a peep. I actually started to believe the legal slap had worked. That maybe the threat of real consequences finally got through their thick skulls. I even relaxed. A little. Then, about 6 weeks in, I was heading home from work. It was late. Getting dark. I made it to the parking garage, walking toward my car, when I heard it. You can't do this to us. My heart jumped. I spun around, and there she was. Mom. She stepped out from behind a concrete pillar like she was in some horror movie. Her eyes were wild. Her hair looked like it hadn't been brushed in days, and her clothes were rumpled like she'd slept in them. No Rick in sight. Thank God. Mom, you can't be here, I said, voice low and steady, already reaching into my coat for my phone. There's a restraining order. You know that. I kept my distance. I'd read enough stories to know how quickly these things can spiral. That a piece of paper doesn't stop someone determined enough. A restraining order won't keep me from speaking to my own son, she shrieked, taking a step toward me. We're ruined. The twins. Their futures are ruined because of you, she shouted. All their friends are heading to college, and now they can't go. They're heartbroken. That's not my problem, Mom, I said, backing away step by step, my thumb already dialing 911. You made your decisions. Now it's time to deal with the fallout. You need to leave. Now. She lunged. Not a full tackle or anything, but she grabbed for my arm. You owe us, she yelled. After everything I did for you when you were little, you were my whole world. I yanked my arm away. You threw me out. I shouted back. You abandoned me, and now you're stalking and harassing me. This ends right now. It's not over until you help us, she screamed. By then, a couple passing by had stopped, wide-eyed, watching it unfold like a live meltdown. I could feel the tension escalating fast. Thankfully, one of the security guards from my building, probably tipped off by HR or watching the cameras, came rushing toward us. Mom spun on him. He's my son. He's trying to destroy his family. The guard didn't flinch. Ma'am, the police are already on the way. I need you to come with me. She started sobbing. The kind of sobs I remembered all too well. No one understands. I'm a good mother. He's cruel. He's cold-hearted. And then, she dropped to the pavement. Sat right there like a toddler in the middle of a tantrum. The cops arrived within minutes. Blue lights flashing. Radios crackling. Her cries echoing off the concrete walls of the parking garage. Me? I just stood there, phone still in hand, trying to stay composed while my insides churned like a blender. I handed the officers a copy of the restraining order. She was still ranting when they started questioning her. But this time, it wasn't just a warning. Between the workplace incident and this direct violation, they cuffed her right there. Read her rights. And she screamed, called it injustice, called me a monster. It was unreal. Watching your own mother get loaded into the back of a police car because of her own choices. Rick showed up later at the police station, looking panicked. Apparently, Mom used her one phone call to ring him. My lawyer was already with me as I gave my statement. When Rick spotted me in the waiting area, he stormed over. This is your fault, he hissed. You happy now? She's a mess. Before I could even answer, my attorney stepped between us. Sir, you're violating a court order. You're named in it. Any contact, any, can be considered a breach. Rick clenched his fists, looked like he might lose it right there. But he backed off, grumbling something under his breath like a sulking teenager. Mom was charged for violating the restraining order, and I think for resisting, too. Word is, she didn't exactly cooperate with the officers. She spent the night in jail. Rick bailed her out the next morning. And after that, the tone shifted. The consequences finally hit them in a way the paper never had. According to Aunt Diane, still my reluctant but only connection to that side of the chaos, Rick was spiraling. Called her in a panic and got an earful back. She told him he'd been enabling this train wreck for years. Mom, on the other hand, didn't have some grand realization. She didn't suddenly see the light. No, she just collapsed. Not in a self-aware way, but in a pitiful, why is this happening to me sort of way. Full victim mode. The court hearing was a few weeks later. My lawyer handled it. I didn't even have to show up. Mom pled no contest or something like that. Got slapped with a fine, court-mandated counseling, which I doubt she'll take seriously. And the restraining order was extended and tightened. One more violation? Straight to jail. No questions. Since then, nothing. Total radio silence. Diane told me Rick's trying to keep things from fully falling apart. The twins? They didn't go to their dream schools. They're enrolled in community college and holding down part-time jobs. You know, what most kids do when their parents can't drop $100,000 on tuition. Honestly, maybe it'll be good for them. Maybe they'll learn what real work looks like. Something I doubt their parents ever taught them. Diane says Mom is quiet now. Depressed. Not ranting. Not scheming. Just defeated. Apparently, the arrest was her wake-up call, though probably not the kind that leads to any kind of real growth. Rick? He's scrambling. And reality's starting to set in that their retirement plan, me, isn't coming through. Do I feel bad? Not even a little. That might sound brutal to some, but she earned every bit of it. Decades of decisions led directly to that night in the parking garage. She built that outcome brick by brick. All I did was draw boundaries and enforce them. If she's broken, it's because her fantasy finally shattered when it hit the wall of reality I built to protect myself. So that's the saga. The restraining order is solid. No violations since. I even changed my phone number, just to be safe. My job is still on alert. My home security? Top tier now. I want to say thank you to everyone who read this, who offered support, advice, or even just took the time to listen. It helped. More than you know. I don't expect to post again about this. If Mom and Rick learned anything, it's that I'm not playing games and the law is firmly in my corner. If they didn't, well, the next consequences are already written. All that's left is for them to trigger them. But for now, I'm moving on. This chapter is closed. And for the first time in a long time, I feel free. Thanks for sticking with me through the storm. It's finally over.